Morning. Mystic finally, has a cup of coffee that's actually hot, hers and unspilled. Outside, the street hums the kind of quiet that never lasts. Then a vending trike rattles up, its frame plastered in tabloid decals and held together with duct-taped antenna. A figure in a trench coat 2 sizes too big leans over the handlebars. Morning subscriptions, ma'am. 1 credit for truth, 2 for scandal. Mystic eyes him over her cup. Any of them come with silence? The coat rustles. A fan of glossy headlines fans out like tarot cards. Mystery nurse treated vampire live on stream. Viewers can't agree if it was ASMR or exorcism. City sewers run dry, then flood again. Mayor blames water gremlins. Dragon PR team denies Oasis leak. Ever happened Skinwalker Union petitions for inclusion in Weird Dog Treaty. Mystic flips through, unimpressed. Can't believe people buy this garbage. They don't, the salesman says, peddling slow. They just live in it. He rolls off, leaving 1 issue wedged beneath her cup holder. Front page photo, a blurred still of Big Papa Pup mid-party, lights strobing, humans unmistakably in the crowd. The headlines circled in red ink. Human reporter crashes Big Papa Pup freak-off. Full moon or full house. Authorities decline comment. Mystic exhales through her nose. If anyone should know better about keeping humans out, it's a leader. But I don't care what scandal you're juggling, pup. Keep your mutts in line. She still has to track down the artifact the weredogs stole, the same relic their ghosts confessed to guarding at her father's graveyard before the city's peace unravels for good. She takes another sip, grimaces. Cold again, of course. Can't even keep coffee warm for 1 crisis. Back inside, the guild kitchen smells like a crime scene wearing an apron. Burnt sugar, sulphur, and something that might have once been bread blend into a fog thick enough to sting the eyes. The goblins are making breakfast, and the air itself looks guilty. Mystic stops in the doorway, blinking at the carnage. Pots bubble over. A toaster sparks like it's trying to send Morse code. Someone's using a first aid kit as a spice rack. Last time, she reminds them there were eggshells inside the omelettes. 1 goblin flings open the fridge with a grin. Don't worry, he says proudly. Fresh eggs this time. A few birds that might pass as chickens blink back at her from the shelf, half nested in a carton of butter. Another goblin in a chef's hat, charred on one side from enthusiasm, slams a spatula like a gavel. The pan releases a hiss that could almost be applause. Zigzag stands near the counter, clipboard trembling, reading the room like it's a live bomb. Roll call, she announces, voice wobbling between duty and despair. The goblins shuffle into a crooked line, each one holding something that doesn't belong in a kitchen. 1 grips a wrench, another a candle, a third, inexplicably, a live fish. Mystic exhales through her nose. Breakfast at the guild. Same smell, new crimes. The whiteboard by the medbay door is half erased, half graffitied, and somehow still legible enough to serve as a roster. Zigzag hovers in front of it, pen poised, wings flicking like she's bracing for turbulence. Mystic leans against the counter, coffee in hand, reading the chaos aloud. Open quote, guild roster, morning attendance, close quote. She mutters, half these names weren't here last week. Zigzag shrugs. They were in the original party, or they worked their way into responsibility somehow. Mystic sighs. Story of this place. Across the room, groups of goblins bustle around under mismatched banners made from lab coats, dish towels, and caution tape. Each cluster insists it's a division of the guild. Mini departments, mini fiefdoms, mini chaos. The general, protection, security, and bruising department. Founding bruiser and self-appointed strategist. Always shirtless, always on patrol. Believes rank belongs to whoever yells first. When others debate medicine, he's in the corner shouting about field security protocols while duct taping a traffic cone to his head. Mascot, bouncer, occasionally emotional support hammer. Hangnail, toxicology expert. Tough, cheerful, catastrophically unhygienic. The hangnail on his left big toe has achieved mythic status, insured separately, displayed proudly through a hole in his shoe on days he remembers shoes exist. Zigzag uses him for fainting desensitization drills. He calls himself her exposure therapy. If anyone needs a sample of an unknown fluid, Hangnail volunteers first, always first. Glow Stick, deep retrieval unit, operates exclusively in the darkest corners of the guild, or the city. Discovered he could taste colours after eating a box of industrial light ones during a blackout. Now swears green tastes hopeful, purple tastes like secrets. Glows faintly at all times. Great for midnight triage, terrible for hide and seek. Smarty pants, administrative apprentice. Newest recruit. Bow tie, sweater vest, and the posture of someone grading everyone else's posture. Speaks in polite, over-enunciated riddles, constantly jotting field notes for his thesis. Most suspect he's just an unusually advanced kid who wandered in and never left. Still, his reports are immaculate and occasionally prophetic. Mystic finishes the list, taps the clipboard and hands it back. Open quote, remind me again why the emotional support hammer outranks you. Close quote. Zigzag straightens, wings flicking. Because he yells first. Mystic nods, deadpan. Fair. B. Zigzag flips to the second page of the roster. Half smudged, half enchanted, and still warm from somebody's lunch. Still one unaccounted for, she mutters. Mystic sips her coffee, eyes tracing the next name down the list. Open quote. 8-ball. Medicine. Predictions. Logistics. She exhales through her nose. Of course. Close quote. 8-ball. Medic Oracle Logistics headache. Former field medic, now the guild's unofficial prophet. After the werepug incident cost him a knee, Mystic rebuilt it using an actual billiard 8-ball from the rec room. The enchantment stuck. Now every crack of the joint delivers cryptic advice, half medical, half cosmic. Sometimes it's profound, open quote, check for internal bleeding. Sometimes it's just petty, you're dehydrated, close quote. Every guild meeting begins with him limping in, shaking his leg like a fortune teller, and declaring, open quote, outlook, uncertain. To be fair, it's the most accurate mission briefing they've ever had, close quote. Mystic glances up from the page. Across the hall, a few non-goblins linger in borrowed scrubs. Quiet, nervous, trailing behind the chaos like backstage interns who accidentally wandered on stage. They flinch when goblins sneeze near open flame. They whisper apologies to furniture, but they never actually leave. Zigzag notices Mystic watching them and shrugs, clipboard wobbling. Open quote. They're mostly overqualified if you look at it the right way, she says. Monsters that couldn't hack it in their own guilds. Maybe they just want somewhere neutral. Somewhere they won't get hunted for trying to help instead of hurt. Close quote. Mystic studies them a moment longer. One looks like a mummified librarian, another's a reformed banshee taking vitals. Open quote. They're not evil, Zigzag adds quickly. They just know how to kill, so they know how to heal. Balance, Mystic raises an eyebrow, open quote. You screening them right? Close quote. Open quote. Grace period, Zigzag chirps. We weed out the ones who don't fit. Close quote. Mystic takes a slow sip of coffee. Open quote. We, she repeats. Cute, close quote. The guild is finally quiet. Well, quiet for the guild. Half the breakfast mess has been scrubbed away, the med bay hums with disinfectant and guilt, and the air smells faintly of burnt toast and antiseptic. Zigzag hovers near the door, clipboard tucked under one arm, wings twitching in small, nervous beats. She looks almost proud. Almost. She announces that she'll tag along with Alyssa, just in case. Probably a good luck charm, she adds, because apparently if she isn't there watching the game, eating game day supreme nachos, they might lose again. Mystic pauses mid-sip. We? A colour not found in nature floods Zigzag's cheeks. Did I say we? I meant Alyssa's dad's team. The Red Barons, they're down 3-2, but they're home for the next 2 games. Mystic stares, slow and dangerous. We are home. Zigzag pretends to check her clipboard, wings flapping faster. Right, exactly. Home advantage. Mystic hides her smirk behind the rim of her coffee. Don't let your fandom get in the way of honest sportsmanship. Zigzag mutters that fairies never cheat, then adds, almost to herself, that the angels only did it once, back in the 90s. She clears her throat, grateful for the change of subject, and flips a page on the clipboard. Anyway, 8-ball's the only one unaccounted for. Mystic brushes a streak of ash from her sleeve, the kind that never quite washes out. He's busy, I'm sure, she says, then quieter. Please let busy mean not recruiting anything else. The fluorescent lights buzz like they're trying not to laugh. Mystic exhales through her nose, half amusement, half resignation. Another morning, another we she never agreed to. The elf at the gate stands perfectly still, vines coiling up his boots like stage curtains. Moonlight catches the metal of his lantern, painting everything in soft silver edges. The air hums faintly, the kind of magic that only ever exists right before a municipal noise ordinance violation. His voice is deep, rehearsed, and solemn. Welcome, honoured healer! You stand before the verdant vale, sanctuary of renewal, grove of eternal. Mystic cuts him off before he can finish the brochure. Yeah, don't you mean the dog park? The elf blinks, visibly thrown off balance. Pardon? She gestures past him. The one the city rezoned last spring? Added poop bag dispensers, splash pad for terriers, good turnout on weekends? The elf's expression folds in on itself. The veil remains sacred. Right, Mystic says, flat as a diagnosis. Well, anything strange happening lately? I'm here about a possible contamination. The elf glances toward the park's new centerpiece, a bright red hydrant spraying water in a perfect upward arc, pooling into a shallow basin. Under the floodlights, it glows like divine kitsch, half art installation, half plumbing mistake. He lowers his voice. 3 nights ago it was foggy. We stayed close, within sight of one another, standard lamp protocol. I was stationed near the edge when 3 wood dogs came through the mist, laughing like hyenas. They did something to the hydrant. Since then, that, he points, isn't normal water. There's no plumbing beneath it, and everything that drinks from it changes. Mystic tilts her head. Changes how? He hesitates, searching for words. It starts small. Birds grow louder, bees fight each other, even the mosquitoes seem angrier. Somewhere nearby, a faint buzzing builds, like the park itself is agreeing. Mystic sighs through her nose, already regretting her coffee. Perfect, she mutters. A cursed dog fountain, my favourite kind of Thursday. Oh, Nurse Mystic, the mosquitoes and bees are unbearable. So many close calls, it's only a matter of time before one of us swells shut. Mystic frowns, squinting at the shimmering hydrant. Mosquitoes? If the water's running and not stagnant, it should be fine. Even as she says it, the air changes. The sound comes first, a thick, pulsing hum like summer static gone feral. Then the chaos hits. Dogs that lap from the fountain tear through the park in wild circles, yipping like they've been freed from gravity. Humans start barking at each other over nothing. Bees dive-bomb the tiny elves who retaliate with pollen bombs that smell suspiciously like sage and panic. Even the mosquitoes act vindictive, zipping around like airborne debt collectors. Mystic swats one off her neck and pulls out a small silver spray bottle. One squeeze and 5 mosquitoes hit the ground like bad ideas. Somewhere behind her, a faint cheer rises on the wind. Okay, she mutters. So it must be really bad at night? The elf, sweating through his tunic, shakes his head. Oh no, at night it's wonderful. We sleep better than ever. Deep, peaceful rest. That's the only reason we've had the strength to keep fighting lately. We thought it was a blessing, but when the sun came up and burned off the fog, we saw it. The fountain. Then the bugs came. Mystic crouches beside the hydrant, tracing the faint sigils etched and scorched along its base. They shimmer faintly, half celestial, half infernal, like 2 magicians arguing in handwriting. Good news, she says at last. It doesn't belong here, and I can take it away. She exhales. The air smells like ozone and wet fur. Bad news, she adds, glancing up. This decoration is technically a declaration of war. The elf freezes, vines coiling tight around his boots. War? He whispers. Mystic stands, brushing off her hands. Don't panic, I just have to return it before anyone else notices or bites someone important. A single mosquito buzzes past her ear, agreement or maybe a warning. Oh, it's an artifact, Mystic says, brushing mud off her knees. Stolen from the Heaven and Hell Club. The elf's posture tightens instantly. The dual domain of Saints Switch and 50%. That's the one, she replies, half smiling. Their security wards are loud, and their lawsuits louder. The elf glances away, knuckles whitening on his lantern. We didn't steal it, nor do we want stolen property. Relax, she says. Just help me unhook it before it floods the veil again. She grips the hydrant's base. The metal hums beneath her fingers, ancient temperamental energy thrumming like twin heartbeats out of sync. A sharp click breaks the tension. Red and gold light spirals up her arm before fading back into skin. Artifact recovered, she exhales. Somebody tell Heaven and Hell their never-ending fountain of yin-yang is coming home, and it's not happy about it. She winces, shaking her hand. Oh, I can feel that. Okay, sorry, straight into the bag you go. A gust of fermented sweetness wafts up from the bowl. Every mosquito in a 5-foot radius vibrates like it just heard the dinner bell. Mystic groans. And it's still dripping. Perfect. Just keep dripping forever. Why not? From a nearby bench, a goblin in a reflective vest looks up from his notebook. Miss Mystic, we traced the paw prints, 3 sets, big ones, definitely were-dog. Of course it was the were-dogs, she mutters, tone sharp enough to sterilize glass. That's not even new information. Okay, residual magic check. Yeah, I can still feel it. Vibe check failed. The goblin nods solemnly. Word is they snuck into the club during last week's full moon bash, stole the statue as a prank, said they'd return it somewhere classy. Guess this is what they meant. Mystic pinches the bridge of her nose. Classy? Great. I'm pulling divine evidence out of a dog park. She exhales slowly. So, just to jog my memory, stealing from a guild could be seen as an act of war. The goblin brightens. Oh, I know. But killing the thieves instead of reporting it for the official handover, that could actually start one. Mystic's eye twitches. Good to know. She hoists the dripping relic into her satchel. The mosquitoes scatter, the hydrant's glow fades, and the veil exhales with her, as if the park itself is relieved to hand the problem back. All right, she mutters. Time to see which half of heaven and hell I owe an apology to.
Mac Movement BrainFire. Original stories that blur satire, sci-fi, and fantasy, told through lo-fi AI narration and raw imagination. 8 worlds, 1 vault, Mirror Between Us, Woolly Rabbits, Nurse Mystic, Galactic Tournament, The Replacements, Trace 3.5D, World Without Legacy, and Slip. Not AI slop, real ideas voiced by AI. If it made you think or laugh, hit like, subscribe, and join the chaos. Mac Movement BrainFire, Pitchforks and Epiphanies, original fiction, AI art, DIY series, sci-fi, fantasy.
The goblins come clattering back through the fence, mud-splattered, triumphant, and louder than reason. We found replacements, Mugwort shouts, dragging something huge behind him. Out of the shadows roll 2 battered mini-golf relics, a chipped green alligator with its jaw forever open, and a yellow dinosaur with fading googly eyes and crooked cartoon spikes. They're about 4 feet tall, 6 if you count enthusiasm. Mystic pinches the bridge of her nose. Mugwort, okay, I see how you got the name, but we only needed 1. And for the record, the hydrant wasn't the relic, only the water feature was. He wipes something suspiciously green off his forehead, grinning like a kid who just solved world peace with glue. Yeah, but they looked lonely. 8-Ball said we should anticipate Nurse Mystic's needs. Plus, we took a one-way street, so can't bring 'em back. The elves, solemn as clergy, nod in approval. Within minutes, they're painting the statues like it's a sacred rite. Someone even adds gold runes along the gator's teeth. They will face each other in eternal vigilance, one elf declares with full ceremony. Mystic squints. Pretty sure that's just a staring contest. Balance restored, the elf insists, bowing slightly. A Shih Tzu waddles into view, ignoring the old hydrant completely. It sniffs between the 2 statues like a priest judging communion wine, tail twitching with divine indecision. Mystic sighs, hefts the crate and mutters, "Let's go before someone installs a windmill of destiny." She's halfway through the gate when the dog finally chooses the open alligator's mouth. Mystic glances back, deadpan. Balance has got good aim. The goblins cheer, the elves applaud, and somewhere the universe quietly updates her record under miracles achieved through sarcasm. The Heaven and Hell Club hums like a living heartbeat when Nurse Mystic stepside. It's 10:30 p.m., that in-between half hour when the walls can't decide if they're saints or sinners. The lobby flickers between red firelight and blue halo glow. Velvet couches cast double shadows, one burning, one serene. A slow jazz line drifts through the air, syncing perfectly with the lazy tick of a clock that always stops at 11:11. At the room's centre under glass, the relic waits, half hourglass, half roulette wheel, its crystal veins pulsing gold and crimson. Saint Switch greets her near the bar, sleeves rolled, tie loosened, the kind of radiant that looks like he practices in mirrors. "You brought it back," he says, nodding toward the crate in her arms. Mystic sets it down with a thud. "It tried to start a holy war in a dog park." He winces. "Again? Apparently the pups wanted art," she says. "I'd call it performance anxiety." Switch chuckles, weary but warm, then gestures toward the glass pedestal. "You know its purpose, right? Balance regulator. Celestial calm meets infernal drive. When both halves are present, me and 50%, it evens out. When separated, everything nearby loses perspective. Tempers, tides, even traffic patterns. He spreads his hands, preacher smooth. Daytime, 50%'s infernal leak. Tempers flare, bets rise. Dogs fight over tennis balls like they're relics of destiny. Mystic nods. It's basically you invented caffeine for nature. I prefer motivation, he says. At night, he continues, my half takes over. Everyone within range sleeps better than they've ever slept. Dreams like soft lightning. Even the mosquitoes rest. Your hottest commodity, Mystic mutters. He grins. Exactly. She crosses her arms. So let me get this straight. You two gave each other drawers in your divine apartment and called it diplomacy. Switch laughs under his breath. It worked for a few millennia. Until the dogs redecorated. Until the dogs redecorated, he echoes. The lights tremble, 11:10 p.m. The red flares, the blue deepens, the room holding its breath for the flip. Before it comes, Switch lowers his voice. About those elves. If they want to stay near the influence, I'm fine authorizing a containment field embassy. Safer for them, less chaos for us. Mystic raises a brow. That simple? He shrugs. Just run it by 50 yourself. You know how he gets when paperwork smells like responsibility. Mystic sighs, already regretting the next conversation. The clock clicks once, 1 minute to the split. Mystic leans against the bar, while Saint Switch scans her notes, the relic pulsing faintly between them like a heartbeat that doesn't know whose side it's on. She briefs him on the aftermath at the Verdant Vale, the tiny woodland neighborhood still trying to recover from the artifact's influence. Pets dueling for dominance, bees staging union meetings, and one squirrel apparently campaigning for mayor. Switch exhales through his nose, the sound halfway between amusement and divine fatigue. We're an all-species establishment, he says. Maybe they should start a guild wing here, sleep in the influence, file reports, call it dollhouse cheek. He slides her a mug of coffee. It tastes like static and grace. Then, almost as an afterthought, he adds, tell them they can have a containment field embassy right here in the club. Safe, contained, monitored. Mystic raises an eyebrow. That simple? Switch nods. Sure. But you'll need to run it by 50 yourself once he clocks in. He'll want his amendments. The lights flicker, dim to a heartbeat's hush. The relic brightens, casting long red shadows through the stained glass. The change hits right on schedule. A metallic gong echoes through the walls. Half church bell, half casino jackpot. The blue light fades. The red takes over. Saint Switch dissolves like a mirage clocking out, and 50% slides into existence behind the bar. He's all swagger and smoke, lounging like the night itself just poured him a drink. Sunglasses indoors, grin sharp enough to scratch glass. I barely clocked in, he says, voice low and amused. And already there's drama? Mystic sets her cup down. You could call it fallout, the word-dog theft, the deaths tied to it. Ring any bells? 50 grins wider. Allegedly, I don't know anything, but if I did, and if some pups disrespected this establishment, hypothetically that'd smell like war, so I don't pay attention. He taps his ring against the glass. Click. I pay Spike for that. Mystic folds her arms. Then maybe tell Spike he's about to be overworked. He laughs once, smooth and dangerous. That's what assistants are for. The music shifts under his influence, jazz melting into something slower, heavier, a bass line made of promises and bad decisions. 50 lifts his glass, red light burning along its rim. And tell those tiny elf tenants they can have their embassy, as long as there's a casino and a strip club attached for the daytime crowd. Trust me. He says, smirking. They'll want it, or need it. Mystic exhales through her nose, more tired than surprised. Of course they will. The relic hums louder. A voice cuts through the jazz haze, polite, scratchy, and too close for comfort. Miss Mystic? Spike steps out from behind the bar, straightening his vest like a man pretending he hasn't been hiding there all night. His bones shimmer faintly blue beneath his skin, and thin spikes push through his jacket seams like coral fighting for daylight. Mystic eyes him over her cup. You know, I do have a cream for that, he smirks. Yeah, well, it's not free anymore, right? Guild's got bills, she says. Miracles cost copays now. Spike laughs once, short, brittle, then sighs. Truth is, I couldn't let what those pups did go unpunished. Mystic tilts her head. Go on. One of them had a fling with a demon bartender, he says quietly. She started showing up late, roughed up, no pun intended. I had a few little birdies check on her. Got the thumbs up every time. And who am I to judge? Maybe she likes it rough. He pauses, grimaces. Okay, that one was a pun. The grin doesn't hold. 50 expects me to fix it, but I'm in over my head. If I act, it looks like retaliation. If I don't, the pack howls for war. Mystic sets her cup down, eyes steady. So you want me to mediate? At the firehouse, he says with a nod. They'll listen to you. Everyone talks to me because they know I only get people in trouble when they really earn it, but they actually trust you. Mystic half smiles. That's a rare sentence to hear in this club. Spike leans closer, voice dropping. And one more thing. You didn't hear it from me, but there's talk of an old skinwalker, ex-guild, powerful, with friends even more powerful. The shapeshifters say he's stirring. Mystic slides her bag over her shoulder, the red cross flashing under the crimson lights. Then I'd better go before this truce fractures. He watches her walk for the door, half itching, half praying. Try not to fix too much, he calls after her. Makes the rest of us look bad. The firehouse used to roar, music, lights, a dozen shapeshifters flexing egos and tails alike. Now it just smoulders, half abandoned, still smelling of smoke, wet dog and bad decisions. The freak-off scandal left scorch marks on the walls and on everyone's pride. Two figures keep the lights on, the boxer and the pug. The boxer looks the part, broad shoulders, cracked knuckles, jaw set like it's waiting for a bell to ring. But leadership? Not exactly in his bloodline. Every time someone asks what to do, he defaults to the same script. I'll check with the boss. It's being handled. Don't worry, we're already on it. None of it true. The pug, on the other hand, spends half his shift asleep mid-sentence and the other half blinking through one infected eye that makes even Nurse Mystic's professional instincts itch. You need a cream or a drop for that, she mutters. He grins, barely, and immediately nods off again. Mystic glances between them, piecing things together the way only a healer does, through what people don't say. The walls are dusty, the orders on the board are weeks old, and every "I'll check with the boss" sounds like a prayer to someone who isn't here. She lowers her voice. When's the last time you actually saw Big Papa Pup? The boxer hesitates, then shrugs. Yesterday, probably. Or, the day before. He's around, somewhere. Mystic narrows her eyes. You mean hiding? Before he can respond, she mentions the were-dog pups. They started a war with the Heaven and Hell Club. Stolen artifact, poked the wrong gods. That's why I'm here. The pug snaps awake like he's been electrocuted. Start a war? I'll kill them first! The boxer immediately puffs up beside him. Yeah, what he said! Kill 'em all! That's exactly what I was going to say. Mystic stares, deadpan. Good news. Sounds like it's already done. The boxer nods proudly, clearly missing the sarcasm. The pug falls back asleep before she can press further. Mystic exhales, arms crossed in the haze of burned hair and broken hierarchy. You don't have to be him, she says finally. You just have to be organized. Chain of command isn't weakness. It's how guilds survive chaos. Her words echo through the quiet hall, caught somewhere between a pep talk and a diagnosis. For the first time all night, the boxer doesn't look ready to punch something. He just looks tired, like maybe he finally realizes there's no one left to check with. Boxer shifts, embarrassed. The pug snores softly, mumbling something about roll call. Mystic exhales, progress, technically. Their conversation keeps looping through half-answers and sidesteps, missing shipments, crossed messages, whispers of a new leader moving through the underground. Every rumour smells like deliberate sabotage. Who's been giving orders since Pup disappeared, she asks. Neither one answers. But the silence between them carries a weight of its own. They've just been stalling. Mystic's still mid-sentence when the firehouse door creaks open. Not one, 2 8-balls walk in. Same grin. Same glowing knee. Same swagger that says they already know how this scene ends. Mystic blinks once. Oh, absolutely not. We are not doing clones, or doubles, or whatever the heck you are. Both grin wider. Did someone put water on you after midnight or something? The first 8-ball chuckles, a sound like marbles rolling in a tin can. The second doesn't laugh at all. His skin ripples. Light from his mechanical knee twists, blue bleeding to black, symbols flashing in rapid sequence, future unclear, outlook grim, sugar rising, the air folds, reality blinks. When it clears, the second 8-ball stands taller, nearly 8 feet, armour clinging to him in green-white chrome, glinting like a melted mirror. A medieval knight rendered in nightclub lighting. Sleek, radiant, wrong, mystic squints. Great! Cavity armor. Whatever works for you. He laughs, voice deep and patient. You can call me DJ. Or by the name most whisper when they're losing a deal, Shuge Knight. The armor liquefies, spilling down his body, crawling across the floor in a reflective tide. It pools, reforms, rises again, this time fur and sinew instead of steel. A massive werewolf towers before them, shoulders brushing the firehouse ceiling, smiles sharp as obsidian. Mystic doesn't flinch. Keep your pups in line, please. Shuge prowls a slow circle around her, the air thick with heat and old pride. Oh, that won't be a problem, he purrs. Behind him, the boxer blurts before his brain catches up. So wait, Sugar Knight means you're, like, a sweet boss? Shuge stops, turns. For a heartbeat, the room forgets to breathe. Then the knight grins, all teeth. Sweet enough to rot the world if I wanted to. The pug snores again. The ceiling light flickers, and Nurse Mystic decides it's time to wrap this mediation before everyone needs resuscitation.
Mac Movement, BrainFire. Original stories that blur satire, sci-fi, and fantasy, told through lo-fi AI narration and raw imagination. 8 worlds, 1 vault, Mirror Between Us, Woolly Rabbits, Nurse Mystic, Galactic Tournament, The Replacements, Trace 3.5D, World Without Legacy, and Slip. Not AI slop, real ideas voiced by AI. If it made you think or laugh, hit like, subscribe, and join the chaos. Mac Movement, BrainFire, Pitchforks and Epiphanies, original fiction, AI art, DIY series, sci-fi, fantasy.
Shuge's tone hardens, sharp, cutting. Who you calling sweet mutt? Go play in. Then, just as fast, he exhales. The rage folds into silk. He smooths the front of his coat, voice dropping into that slow, with calm danger people always mistake for mercy. No, it's fine. They'll earn their place. I'm not the enemy here, nurse. I'm the one who makes sure everyone else remembers who's in charge. The pug jolts awake with a snort, blinking like he's been caught dreaming of food. The boxer just looks smaller, like Shuge's presence pressed the air right out of him. Shuge stops by the cracked window, city lights painting his silhouette in fractured colour. I'm the guild's spine now, he says softly. All shapeshifters, all debts. This firehouse, perfect headquarters, perfect view. Mystic folds her arms, unimpressed. Congratulations? He grins, teeth catching the neon from the street below. You say that like order's a bad thing. I just never thought about shapeshifters being unified, let alone recognised, as one guild, she replies. You used to be, 6 factions in this city? 17, he corrects with a chuckle. And a few partials that will be contacted. The room bends around him, light, air, even the smell of smoke and fur. Half menace, half charisma, a whole storm waiting to happen. Then he turns toward the door. The air ripples, his form begins to blur, fur, armour, muscle, all melting into mist that shimmers like sugar under heat. When it clears, all that's left is a faint fog curling the doorway, sweet on the tongue and sour in the lungs. Mystic watches it fade. Sweet fog, she mutters. Figures. She adjusts her bag, checks her pulse like it might tell her the city's prognosis, and steps into the night. Jermaine Cooper, minor league hero. He only ever left the city when a major league team called him up for a short run, or when a contract needed a veteran to teach the next generation how to act like pros. But no matter how far he went, he always came back to the Red Barons. Some of those pros are here tonight. One of them, nicknamed Grounding Lawyer, even played with the team earlier in the season while rehabbing an injury. Now it's the big one. Game 7 of the Minor League World Series. The stadium hums under a violet dusk sky, floodlights buzzing, the crowd restless, the final inning stretching like a held breath. Nurse Mystic sits halfway up the bleachers, surrounded by chaos and found family. Alyssa, Zigzag, the Vamp, and 3 goblins in oversized trench coats stacked like a totem pole, each wearing a different souvenir mask. Bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, full count. A sacrifice bunt somehow worked, and Mystic still pretending she understood it in real time. Bases loaded. Alyssa's dad steps up, calm, steady, worn down by years of almosts. The pitch, the swing, crack. The ball rockets into the violet sky, and when it lands, it's gone. A grand slam. The stadium erupts. Mystic laughs, a deep, rare one that echoes between cheers. On the field, Alyssa's father rounds the bases, grinning like a man who finally outran gravity. When he crosses home, his teammates hoist him high, shouting his name as championship caps explode into the air. Reporters swarm the chaos. Alyssa runs to him, hugging his side, both of them drenched in champagne and camera flashes. He keeps insisting, mic jammed under his chin, that this really is the end. "I'm done," he says, smiling at her. "After all, I hardly ever even made it to the majors." Then someone asks if he'll coach next. He actually stops to think, just long enough, before the team drags him back into the spray of celebration, goggles down, bottles bursting. The vamp films everything, streaming live to whoever's still awake in the supernatural hours of the internet. Alyssa laughs until she cries, spraying champagne across her dad's shoulder. The team starts chanting her name now, too. The Batgirl, their lucky charm. Father and daughter lifted together, matching grins under the bright, impossible lights. Zigzag pops out of Mystic's medical bag, waving a miniature bottle of her own and shaking it like a fire hazard. Bubbles fizz down Mystic's gloves as she sighs. "Congratulations, Red Barons. My equipment's sticky forever now." Down by the concession line, the Goblin totem pole celebrates its own way, scavenging stadium trash with tactical precision. The bottom Goblin gets first dibs. Fair is fair. Mystic just watches it all for a while. The laughter, the light, the rare, perfect alignment of chaos and peace. For once, the city feels like it's breathing easy. She exhales soft and proud. Maybe the universe can have one normal night. The scoreboard flickers, 11:11. Somewhere unseen, a sweet fog drifts past the moonlight. End of episode 8.